a little bit about the Tanoto Foundation, which was established in 2001, so it's been around for quite a long time, to support poverty alleviation efforts. To date, the foundation has provided over 20,000 scholarships, built several schools and education facilities, produced 27 graduates, developed 60,000 hectares of community livelihood plantation, and created more than 1,800 jobs through the SME programs. There's a lot of data in that information. But Belinda, how do you see this data revolution and data sharing and making the information public and all that knowledge out there? Do you like the idea of philanthropic organizations, institutions sharing their data?
Thank you, Daisy. Before I answer your question, let me give a brief introduction of Tanoto Foundation, and I'll take you on a case study of how we use data to design, monitor, and evaluate our programs, as well as what we've learned so far in terms of data availability and data validation in Indonesia. So, who are we? My parents, Sukanto and Tina Tanoto, the founders of the foundation, never graduated from high school. Not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. They were forced to quit school to help their parents. Fast forward 30 years, they realized that the same thing was happening around them. Every year, millions of Indonesian teenagers are forced to drop out of school because they have to work to feed their family. Without proper education, however, these young people will have little chance to break the intergenerational cycle of poverty. Therefore, in 2001, we set up the foundation based on the belief that every person should have the opportunity to realize their full potential. Our intervention starts with the family. First, we make sure that the father is empowered and able to feed the family. Next, the mother, making sure that the family is healthy. Then with the child, providing them access to quality education to make sure that they can escape the vicious cycle of poverty. At Tanoto Foundation, we use data in three main ways: as a baseline and reference in developing philanthropy programs, or working together with our corporate social partners in designing the social responsibility programs. We use both publicly available data, whether it be from Badan Pusat Statistik or TMP2K, or published research, as well as commissioned in-house studies and research working together with UI. Two, as a benchmark for monitoring programs and evaluating impact. And three, to use data to promote systemic change. So let me walk you through one of the case studies when we first started designing one of our flagship programs, Pelita Pendidikan. So 6 years ago, we know that we're passionate about education. And we know that we want to do work in rural Indonesia because of our long-standing history of operating in rural areas, as well as the urban-rural gap in Indonesia. But where do we start? So we started scouring for data. We found out that the number of primary schools in Indonesia have been increasing since independence. We also realized that elementary school participation is quite high. If you see from the chart on the left, it's 95% in 2007. So student participation or access to school doesn't seem to be the issue. So what are the problems? And we found three. One, number of teachers in Indonesia, even though we have enough teachers, their quality can be improved. If you look at the two charts on the left, student-to-teacher ratio in Indonesia for elementary schools and for secondary schools is comparable to Japan, Thailand, or even the US. But the percentage of teachers with four-year college education is woefully inadequate. If you see for elementary school, only less than 20% of the teachers have received four-year college education. The second problem that we found is that students are not performing as well compared to their peers in the same age group. In an assessment conducted by OECD, PISA, Indonesia ranked 61 out of 65 in reading performance. That's almost last. You also notice in the three graphs below that there's a stagnation in performance between 2000 and 2012. To us, that's really concerning. The third problem we found is that many schools in Indonesia are in rundown condition. 75% of schools in Indonesia do not fulfill the minimum service standard of education. About half of the 900,000 classrooms in Indonesia have slight to severe damage. Only 1/3 of elementary schools have libraries. So what can we do about it? We design our program specifically to address the 3 issues that we identified. For Pelita Asri, we improve safety and functionality of space for students at school, as well as encourage them to reduce, reuse, and recycle. For Pelita Pustaka, we focus on inculcating good reading habits in children. For Pelita Guru Mandiri, we train teachers so that they're able to, instead of using the old rote memorization teaching method, we want them to incorporate locally available aid, contextual learning methods. In terms of measurement, we make sure there are a couple of things that we track. We make sure that our activities are delivered per budget. We make sure that we evaluate the effectiveness of our program. Like you correctly pointed out, we want to make sure that our programs are making a difference. To date, we've trained 4,400 teachers, resulting in 320 schools implementing contextual teaching and learning methods. We've also established 300 libraries, donating 30,000 books. What we do is we periodically measure impact and use feedback on the ground to improve the design of our program. So a big part of our programs focus on the sub-district village level. And we noticed that even though a lot of data is available, a lot of them only gets broken down to the district level. So when we were trying to find schools, for example, which schools to work with, it was a big challenge for us. And we also noticed that between the district and the province and the national level, at the ministry level, a lot of the data may not reconcile. So that creates a lot of programs. When we were designing our program, that creates a lot of challenges. And going back to your question about whether foundations would be happy to share data, and I think we would. I mean, a big part of what we're trying to achieve is have systemic change, right? What we want to do is collectively work together towards a systemic change. And we reckon that in our foundation, what we've done so far is add resources to the system, build capacity of the system. What we want to achieve is that, we want to work together with other, whether it be from the private sector or from other nonprofits or from other multilateral agencies. I think if it's used for the right goal, we would be more than willing to share. Also to understand what others are doing so that we're not replicating efforts.